Good evening. My name is Charles Haddon Spurgeon. I pastor the Metropolitan Tabernacle in London, England. Someone asked me at one time, indeed it was an American, a group of American pastors was touring our church, and they said to me, "Mr. Spurgeon, from whence does your power come?" At that moment we were in the basement of our church, and I said, "Gentlemen, it comes from this room. It is called the boiler room." And they looked around somewhat perplexed because there was no boiler apparent. That is one of the things I like about Americans. They are so literal. I said, "Gentlemen, this is called a boiler room because it is here on a Saturday evening and a Sunday morning where 160 of my men gather, and they pray for the power of God upon this church, upon this work, upon this pastor. And any power that I have, any power that exists, comes only from the prayers of the saints that rise as a sweet-smelling savor into the nostrils of God. Any power that we have to accomplish anything for God only comes through the prayers of these men that pray for the power of God to fall upon this church and for the Spirit to work in the walls of this church." Our text at this time is taken from the book of Colossians in chapter 3. Colossians in chapter 3. The title of our text is taken from the chapter 3 and verse 11, "Christ is all." Now, if I might be allowed to read to you this text. Colossians in chapter 3 and verse 1. "If ye then, being risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God, set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God." Oh, my beloved, what a glorious picture is there. We do not have time to preach upon that at this occasion. But the fact that our life is hid with Christ and He in God, there cannot be a more secure place upon this earth than for us to be hid with Christ and He in God. But we are dead. And now it is time for us to leave the grave clothes behind. "For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with Him in glory. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth." If I might take just a moment here. I have occasionally been accused of having entirely too much levity in the pulpit. But when I read this, I confess that I must tell you, when it says, "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth," it does not refer to the other members of your church. I know, perhaps there are some members that you wish were mortified. Indeed, they come to your mind even as I say these words. But when I say, "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth," please be assured that it does not refer to any other member in your church, any other member in your congregation, not even a member of your family. And so when it says, "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth," it refers to your own difficulties, not to those who are members of your church. "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence or desire or lust, covetousness, which is idolatry, for which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience, in which ye also walked sometime when ye lived in them. But now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not to one another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in the knowledge after the image of Him that created him. Where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all. Put on, therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man has a quarrel against any. Even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. And above all these things, put on charity or love, which is the bond of perfectness or completeness. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another, and psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord." My beloved, our text from Colossians chapter 3 and verse 11, "Christ is all." Now, I believe, because I have not had formal theological training, that this word "all" means all. It means everything. And the apostle here, as he is bringing to us an argument, he is bringing to us an argument for holiness. He was contending against sin. He was contending for the maintenance of Christian graces. But he did not, as some would like, resort to reasoning inconsistent with the gospel. He was trying to give us an argument of grace, an argument of holiness. He was seeking to fan the flames of our fire, of our souls, with a suitable appliance. He knew that he was writing to believers, and so he did not say, "This do not, and ye shall cease to be the beloved of the Lord," or "This do, and ye shall reward merit." No. No, because it is not about what we do. It is about what God has already done. It is about what Jesus Christ has already done. And so as he was bringing these arguments, he used arguments fetched from grace. He used arguments suitable to the character and the condition of believers, of the elect of God, holy and beloved of God. He fed this flame with suitable fuel. Now, he reminds us here that we have risen with Christ. And if they have risen with him, he reminds us that we should leave the grave clothes behind. We should leave the grave clothes of our sin, of our iniquity behind. And we should act as those who have grace, who have a superior life, which accounts sin to be death and corruption. He goes on to declare that the believer's life in Christ, "For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God." He tells us what a secure and glorious place that is. He infers holiness from this also. Shall those who have Christ for their life defile themselves with guilt? It is not inevitable that if the Holy One of Israel be in them as their life should be fraught with everything that is virtuous and good. He brings forward a third argument, that the Christian church, Christ is the only distinguishing mark. That with the new birth, we are created in the image of Jesus Christ, the image of the one who has begotten us. We are the second Adam, as it were. And in consequence, all the distinctions that appertain to the old creation are rendered valueless. They are negated. There is neither Greek nor Jew, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, circumcision nor uncircumcision, but Christ is all and in all. The argument from this fact, that since only abiding distinctions to the new creation can be allowed, the only distinction with us is Jesus Christ. We should take care that his image, his only image, is the image that is created, stamped upon our very visages. We should take care that we convey to others his impression, his image, not our own. That our conversation, our entire character should confess Jesus Christ. It should speak to him. That we are Christians, not only with the speaking of our tongues, but with our manner of life, the way in which we conduct ourselves day after day. That we should be known by our Christ-likeness. That we should be known by our identity in Jesus Christ, by the light, by the love, by the life that Christ has streaming forth from him. And this is the seal of God, which is set upon the forehead of the faithful. And this is the mark of election, which is in due season graven upon the right hand of all the elect. And so now, as the only distinction which marks the Christian from other men, and the only essential distinction of the new world of grace is Christ, we are led to see beneath this there is a great underlying doctrine. It is a glorious truth. In the realm of grace, in the realm of Jesus Christ, things are exactly what they seem. They are not too good to be true, they are true. Christ is apparently all because he is actually all. The fact of a man's possession of Christ is all and in all in the church, because in the very deed, Christ is all and in